Hey guys, tonight we're heading back, way back, to a time when survival meant stone tools, animal hides, and hoping the enormous beast outside didn't consider you its midnight snack. Imagine it, you wake shivering in a damp cave, no Wi-Fi, no pizza delivery, no heated blanket. Honestly, you probably won't survive this, but it's going to make a great bedtime story. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and the local time in the comments so I know when and where you're tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your eyes blink open against the dim glow of embers, a nest of ashes nestled low after a night in the cave. The air is cold, and the smell of smoked meat from days earlier still clings to the stone. You draw closer to the faint warmth, because here, in the Stone Age, fire isn't just comfort, it's survival. Without it, your night was more likely filled with frostbite or a visit from a predator sniffing around. Fire is your most precious possession, like the Stone Age equivalent of your smartphone charger cable. Lose it, and everything suddenly becomes way harder. You crouch low, blowing gently, coaxing sparks back into flame. This is no small feat. Historians believe our ancestors first tamed fire hundreds of thousands of years ago. Some evidence suggests Homo erectus may have harnessed it nearly 1,000,000 years ago. Fire means cooked meats, which are easier to chew and digest, meaning your muscles and brain can flourish on less energy. Cooked food is basically ancient fast food in terms of efficiency. The quirky part: some early evidence suggests bats might have introduced humans to fire, not by striking matches, of course, but because cave-dwelling bats would roost above flickering torches and drop guano that actually fed the flames. So, in a strange way, thank the flying mammals for stoking your blaze. You cradle it carefully. Sure, starting it is possible with sticks, sparks, or flint, but honestly, keeping it alive is far less exhausting than clumsily knocking rocks together in desperation. Historians still argue whether early fires were stolen from natural sources like lightning and volcanoes rather than intentionally made first. You can picture it: your group notices a tree struck by lightning, flame licking at branches, and you all charge forward, grabbing burning sticks with shrieks of triumph and a dash of "ouch, that's hot." The fire settles, and the glow beads across your companions' faces. You sit nestled among hides, listening to the sharp drip of water deep in the cave. That sound is constant, a kind of prehistoric white noise machine without the ocean waves option. The cave itself isn't glamorous, but it's out of the wind, and it offers one critical feature: a choke point at the entrance, easy to guard against threats. You imagine that beyond the safety of glowing embers, there are cave lions prowling. Yep, lions that considered early humans part of the buffet. If you're finally feeling safe tucked in your bedroom, think again. There are no locked doors, just a fire and your clan's watchful eyes keeping danger at bay. The tools scattered beside you: a heavy rock with a chipped edge, a stick hardened by fire, aren't much in the way of cutting-edge technology, but each one is a tiny miracle of engineering. Those flint scrapers and sharp hand axes transformed bones into feasts, hides into blankets, and wood into shelters. The sound of stone striking stone echoes, a rhythm of survival. Strangely enough, archaeologists sometimes find beautiful symmetrical hand axes buried deep in places that suggest they weren't just tools, but status symbols, or maybe even Stone Age bling. Imagine someone carrying one around just to impress a potential partner. Hey, check out the smooth edges on my flint. It took me hours. Tinder, Caveman edition. You shuffle closer to check the stone edges, running your fingers over them. The firelight casts shadows that turn the blunt object into something formidable. There's a tiny ritual in this act. Maintaining your tools is part habit, part art. If you're careless and your blade dulls, life becomes exponentially harder. But if the edge is sharp and reliable, you can cut hides for warmth or defend against a predator pressing too close for comfort. The clan stirs slowly. One of your companions tends to another pile of branches lashed together earlier, fuel you all scavenged in daylight. Each piece is precious because, in a harsh Ice Age landscape, dry wood isn't lying around like spare quarters on a couch. Sometimes you even scavenge burned out logs left behind from bushfires. Early mornings are about stretching, grumbling about cold joints, and gearing up for the day ahead, with the fire as your invisible heartbeat. Out in the open world, the sun will not rise to any gentle alarm clock buzz. It creeps over snow-flecked plains, reminding you that heat and cold are a constant tug of war. You wrap skins tighter, hair mussed from nights of tossing on rough ground, and you take another long look at the embers. There's a constant awareness fire will follow you wherever you go today. Carrying burning sticks or embers in bark containers is the Stone Age equivalent of carrying a portable charger. You go nowhere without backup. By now, you've learned how fragile your own skin is compared to the icy winds. Unlike the woolly mammoth lumbering by outside, you don't have fur. You rely on fire to give you the illusion of toughness. Fire keeps away the chill, keeps away beasts, keeps away the deeply unsettling loneliness of staring across endless frozen plains. For a few moments, when flame light dances across walls and laughter hums through the group, you almost feel invincible. And yet, every part of your mind remembers how temporary this is. If the fire goes out, if fuel is gone, if rain sweeps in, you return to being prey. That underlying anxiety is perhaps the spark behind why you and your people tend to it with near religious devotion. Even very early on, fire is more than a tool. It's proof that you and your kind can conquer forces of nature, even if just in a small circle of orange light against unlimited dark. As the morning takes hold, you shoulder a stone tool in one hand and a burning stick in the other, eyes narrowed against the wind. The clan bunches up, leaving the cave to explore and hunt. The fire you leave in the cave will need tending if some of you return before nightfall. If not, you'll guard the solo stick like life itself. Already, smoke drifts into your hair and stings your eyes, but the smell is reassuring. Of all the hardships of the Stone Age, smelling like a smoked ham isn't the worst. Trust me, you'll take it. And here, with smoke clinging to your hide, boots crunching on frost, and your clan murmuring around you, you recognize that this chapter of life is about more than shivering survival. It's the very first flicker of human powers, harnessing fire, carrying its borrowed strength forward into the unknown. You step out of the dim mouth of the cave into the pale morning light, your feet crunching against frost-hardened earth. The world greets you with silence, broken only by the occasional screech of a distant bird and the shuffling of your clanmates around you. Today is like every other, a balance between finding food and making sure you're not today's food. Welcome to the daily routine of the caveman. Hunt, gather, survive, repeat. No weekends off, and sadly, still no brunch cafes with overpriced avocado toast. The group quickly splits roles because survival is teamwork. Some gatherers drift into nearby woodlands, eyes sharp for berries, edible roots, or nuts. You join the hunters, stomping through brush with a spear fashioned from sharpened stone lashed to a sturdy branch. It's no lightsaber, but the important part is the pointy end, the quarry of choice, something that hopefully doesn't immediately charge you back. Your spear feels heavy because this isn't just about skill, it's about brute persistence. Many scientists believe your ancestors were stamina hunters, chasing animals for hours, sometimes days, until the animal literally dropped from exhaustion. Imagine that, no need for fast feet, just slow, steady determination, like the world's most brutal marathon. Somewhere out there, an antelope is panicking because you and your tribe are basically persistence predators. That might feel like a motivational slogan. Keep chasing, the antelope will give up before you do. But before you stitch it on a t-shirt, remember you'll actually have to eat that antelope raw if you don't get back to fire soon. You stalk into the terrain, dry grass crunching, and your nose picks up the earthy scent of soil and wild herbs. Your senses are sharper than someone scrolling a smartphone. Every sound tells you something. A twig cracking could be prey nearby, or something with teeth that wants to call you lunch. Either way, you've got to pay attention. That's why your group spreads out, low and careful, whispering in clicks and gestures. Communication is key because hunting silently together beats the alternative of yelling across the field, "Hey, it's over here," and immediately scaring dinner away. Some mornings, hunting gangs travel far, following distant herds. Other days, luck drops food right in front of you. Archaeologists have found evidence that Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens sometimes scavenged the leftovers of larger predators. Not glamorous, but if a pride of giant cats just abandoned a half-eaten carcass, well, waste not, want not. Personally, it's less embarrassing to say, "We fought off the lions," than "we waited until the lions got bored." Historians still argue whether early humans were primarily hunters or scavengers, and the answer might simply be opportunists who did whatever the day demanded. Your clan actually demonstrates surprising teamwork. One of your comrades makes a noise, ducking low, pointing at movement through the grass. A small boar, tusks glinting, grunts and roots at the earth. Everyone crouches lower, tension hanging as you tighten your grip on the spear. Spears fly in unison with a practiced thrust, though practiced is generous. It's more like organized chaos with whoops, arm throws, and a lot of tripping over roots. After an intense flurry, the boar collapses and relief washes over everyone. Tonight's dinner, roasted pork, a meal that will linger in memory far longer than your collapsed lungs from all that sprinting. 8 humans against 1 boar. Not exactly fair odds, but remember, the boar had tusks and no Yelp reviews guiding its life choices. Once the prey is secured, hunters cut meat with flint blades, red juices staining the stone edges. Enormous tusks or bones are set aside, multi-purpose tools in themselves. You can already imagine one forming a makeshift awl for poking holes in hides, or the tusk carved into a primitive weapon. The versatility of what we'd now call garbage parts is impressive. A rib might become a scraper, a jawbone a digging tool. Recycling existed here long before it was trendy. But while the hunters are locked in their sweaty, muddy, adrenaline-filled routines, life for gatherers hums at a very different rhythm. Back in the woods, nimble fingers pluck berries turned purple by the season. Roots and tubers are unearthed carefully, sometimes with sharp sticks. You think you're just picking snacks, but in reality you're experimental scientists, because not every berry is a treat. Sometimes it's a lethal mistake. Early humans didn't have the poison control hotline. So much of this knowledge passed orally, grandmothers warning with gestures which berries left people sick or which plants healed wounds. The clan carries recipes for life and death in their stories. With every handful, you weigh risk and reward. Here's the quirky tidbit. Honey might sneak into your gathering hall if you're brave or reckless enough. Imagine your group eyeing a hollow tree buzzing with bees, thinking, dangerous cloud of stingers, but also sugar. Some early groups may have deliberately smoked bees out with torches. If you succeed, golden treasure drips down, sticky and glorious, unlike anything else in your diet. If you fail, you end up becoming an ancient slapstick routine, flailing, yelling, stingers everywhere. Some scholars even propose humans' taste for sweets originates from those risky honey raids, proof that our craving for dessert is truly prehistoric. The midday sun climbs, and sweat beads across your forehead. Hunting is tiring. Gathering scratches your hands raw, but hunger presses you forward. When you catch a glimpse of mammoths in the distance, enormous silhouettes moving like slow, shaggy ships, you can't help but daydream about the bounty such a beast would provide. Mammoth hunts are remembered across cave art as epic community trials. But the truth, they're unbelievably dangerous. You feel braver eyeing them from afar while still chewing safe berries. Charging a multi-ton beast with a pointy stick seems less like brave strategy and more like filing yourself under tomorrow's mammoth leftovers. So as the sun dips low, the clan regroups, arms laden with roots, nuts, and strips of fresh meat. Fire waits at home, and with it, one of life's sweetest luxuries, cooked food. Returning is always a relief. Meat goes from chew until your jaw ache is to smoky tenderness. Plants soften with heat, and flavors grow richer. Archaeologists believe cooking not only expanded our diet, but reshaped the very size of our jaws and teeth over millennia. Before you had dental insurance, softer food was basically a health plan. By the time the fire crackles under darkening skies, bellies quiet, faces sticky with grace and soot, something remarkable begins to happen. Around thick shadows and golden flame, survival transforms into ritual. Sharing food is not just nourishment. It is the pulse of companionship, of trade, of unspoken promises. If we work, if we risk, we feast together. That's more powerful than the meat itself. It bonds your little tribe tighter than sinew. And so, as you drift against the stone walls, fire illuminating the faint outlines of beasts painted there long before you, you understand something simple but profound. Hunting and gathering fill your stomach, but sharing the victory fills your soul. In this rhythm, day after day your life takes form, not glamorous, barely comfortable, yet undeniably human. The dawn after your feast, you stretch your legs, sore from yesterday's chase and chewing. You'd like to think the worst is behind you, but in the age of caves and stone, every new day presents predators and disasters auditioning for the role of how you didn't make it. The world is as much a threat as it is a pantry. The air may be crisp and the fire warm, but danger lurks just beyond the tree line, and your people know every rustle could mean life or death. Welcome to the constant chess game of surviving things that want to bite, sting, crush, or clobber you. As the first golden streaks of day filter across pale grasses, your ears catch a low growl. It slithers into your ribcage with a chill. Somewhere in the brush, a cave lion prowls. These aren't your soft, lazy house cats. Lions in Ice Age Europe were nearly 25% larger than modern African ones. Imagine your average living room cat beefed up on steroids, then multiplied. You freeze, senses on full tilt, while hunters instantly tighten their grips on spears. You're reminded that the hunter can flip rolls faster than you can shout. Wet, we don't taste that good. The clan eventually deters the beast with firebrand torches, heat and noise convincing it to prowl elsewhere for breakfast. But the ache in your muscles stays, because one thing's always true. Danger doesn't leave you alone just because you're tired. That point becomes clearer as you follow the river later. The water beckons. It quenches thirst, it's home to fish. Sometimes it even reveals clam shells you can crack open. But rivers are ambush zones. The banks are sullied with giant tracks in the mud, wider than your palm. Crocodiles once grew massive enough to snap your leg like a breadstick. Remember when I joked about sunscreen? Well, rumor from later cultures tells of people mixing crocodile dung as protection cream. It's questionable. But right here, staring at those muddy prints, you realize crocodiles don't need to help your skincare, they'd rather chew your face off. Natural hazards play their trickster role too. You step through a forest patch where the ground seems steady until it swallows your foot in sticky mud. Boggy terrain can trap almost anything. It's why archaeologists sometimes discover entire skeletons preserved there, human and beast alike. For you, stepping wrong means a sprint becomes a slow slog, and in caveman math, slower equals meal. Not your meal, theirs. You climb upland in search of berries, and rocks shift suddenly beneath your weight. Gravity does what it's always done well. It yanks you down without apologies. Landslides, rock slides, sudden avalanches. These aren't abstract possibilities. Their Tuesday afternoon. Wherever cliffs loom, your heart reminds you to tread lightly. Across the open plain, hunting your boar of yesterday feels tame compared to watching distant mammoths lumber by. They appear gentle as walking hills, but don't be fooled. If irritated, mammoths could stampede with a force imagining you into the dirt like a bug. Historians still argue whether early hunting groups managed to deliberately trap these giants, or if they mostly scavenged the fallen, because taking on such a beast required insane teamwork. For your sake, you prefer admiring them at a respectful distance. Basically, look, don't poke. And as if predators and falling rocks weren't enough, you have the added joy of clashing with other humans. Rival clans also consider this valley their home, and food gets scarce. Archaeological records even suggest distinctive skull fractures, evidence of intergroup battles. Imagine encountering another tribe. You both need water, you both need game, you both lack Yelp reviews to settle disputes. Sometimes you split land peacefully with nervous hand gestures. Other times, it's spears raised, heavy stones hurled, and the distinct realization that humans are often their own biggest predators. The idea of diplomacy was usually, draw this line in the dirt. You stay there, or else, among your group, anxiety heightens as nightfall approaches. Daylight at least gives you vision on threats. Darkness turns the forest into a surround sound horror film. The occasional owl call sounds like taunting. Trees creak like whispers, and behind every noise, you imagine saber-toothed cats creeping closer. One quirky and shiver-inducing tidbit. Saber-toothed Smilodon, the most famous, didn't actually live in Europe with Neanderthals. They often thrived in the Americas. But the old world had Macarodus, another scary relative. Picture a giant cat, dagger teeth gleaming, excellent night vision. Suddenly your fire doesn't just warm bodies, it's a blazing Keep-OT sign. Even indoor life, the cave walls themselves, aren't entirely safe. You may recall earlier that the ceiling drips echo like soothing background noise. Well, sometimes caves flood, or worse, harbor hidden tenants, bats in droves above your head. A storm outside might drive them into a flurry, swarming, squealing, pelting you with startled wings. Annoying, sure, but imagine the smell after hundreds of them roost for generations. Congratulations, you live in a guano factory. Still, the most consistent hazard is hunger itself. Healing wounds after a predator bite is painful. Starving quietly is slower but no less fatal. With calories always uncertain, your body isn't the plumply cushioned storage unit of modern times. You burn energy quickly in hunts, and every empty hand heightens fear. This is as relentless as any lion. The predator always chasing you is time. If dinner doesn't appear, your bones weaken, your energy wanes, and tomorrow's hunt looks bleak. One stumble, one unlucky week without food, and your clan faces extinction's icy sting. And then, just when you think you've mastered danger, the sky itself betrays you. A thunderstorm sweeps in across the valley. Lightning cracks the heavens, rain lashes down, soaking hides until your clothing drags like sodden weights. Lightning sets trees on fire, and while your ancestors likely borrowed flame from such strikes, you certainly don't want to be the one standing beneath the sparking oak. The storm blinds predators, but it blinds you too. Mud churns into rivers, and one false step in rushing water, well, let's just say human lungs aren't designed for long swim sessions. Your clan huddles together, pressing closer against the storm, clutching spears that no longer feel reassuring. You wonder if tiny sparks of superstition began in moments like these. Thunder overhead, flashes devastatingly near, maybe voices whispered tales of sky spirits, angry and formidable. Maybe children asked, "Who's drumming above us?" And maybe the adults simply answered with a shrug and a nervous, "Don't anger it." By the time the storm passes, your body aches from tension, but you're still breathing. And that's your constant victory. Today, you survived predators with teeth longer than your finger, water stronger than stone, fellow humans with rocks aimed at your skull, and sky fire bursting over your head. Every second is a gamble, and yet here you are, alive, your embers still smoking in the cave, your clan still laughing stiffly before falling asleep in heaps of hides. Your life isn't cushioned, safe, or predictable, but it brims with pulse-pounding awareness. Hunger teaches you caution. Predators sharpen your reflexes. Storms keep you humble. The world constantly reminds you survival is not guaranteed, and yet every victory, every breath you take, is glorious in its fragility. The storm has finally passed in the night, and when morning light trickles into your cave, you feel the heavy weight of hunger nudging you awake again. Yesterday's boar meat gave your clan a brief reprieve, but your stomach doesn't care about yesterday. It growls impatiently this morning, demanding attention. Survival here isn't about grand feasts every day. It's about whatever you can crack, dig, pluck, scrape, or bite into before darkness falls once more. You're about to realize the real caveman menu is more diverse and sometimes more stomach-turning than just big mammoth steak. Instead of chasing prey immediately, you step outside, scanning the underbrush. The air smells fresh after rain, and beads of moisture cling to leaves. This is good gathering weather. The ground soft for digging, plants ripe, animals stirring after the downpour. One of your clan members digs with a pointed stick, loosening dirt around a bulbous plant. Soon enough, they lift a gritty tuber caked in soil. After brushing it, you recognize what might be an ancestor to potatoes. It won't win any gourmet meal awards. Raw, it's starchy and bitter, but roasted later in the ashes, it'll provide energy that keeps you upright in a world constantly plotting against you. Roots and tubers are your most dependable fallback. They don't run away, they don't fight back, they don't bite you in return. Archaeologists believe these reliable calories fueled survival, especially in winters when fruit and game became scarce. Imagine them as nature's original power bars, though instead of pulling neatly wrapped protein snacks from your pocket, you spend half your afternoon digging in cold mud. Farther along the slope, you spot berries glistening like jeweled drops on low shrubs. Their deep red skin is tempting, but the memory of bitter poison warnings keeps you cautious. You nibble slowly, testing. A surprising sweetness blooms on your tongue. Safe, for now. If you collect enough, tonight's dinner might earn an accidental dessert course. Historians still argue whether early humans deliberately cultivated berry patches by scattering seeds or whether they stumbled into chance flourishing. Either way, nothing says bedtime luxury, like sticky berry fingers turning your hides purple. Not every edible comes peacefully from plants. You notice a faint hum in the forest. Curious, you approach carefully, recognizing a hollow log alive with buzzing vibrations. Bees. Honey is a treat unlike any other you find here, thick golden, bursting with sugar that delivers instant energy. But raiding bees is not for the faint-hearted, especially when you're armed with only smoke from burning branches and a hopeful grin. Climbing, waving fire, reaching trembling hands into swarms. Congratulations, you are now dinner for 1,000 furious stingers. Still, if you succeed, and tonight your swollen ankles suggest you somewhat succeeded, you haul back dripping cums of honey. Sweetness like this is rare enough to feel magical. Even now, experts argue whether honey played a strangely vital role in human brain expansion. Not just physically fueling, but encouraging risks that bonded groups together. Bravery powered by sugar, you might say. Meat, though, stays a constant craving. Today your hunters corner nothing as large as yesterday's boar, but a couple of rabbits squeal as they're snapped up through persistence and sharpened stones. Small game is usually easier. Skittish, lightweight, but plentiful. Roasted. The flesh satisfies, though it takes multiple to come close to filling a clan. Here you learn an odd nutritional truth. Eating too much lean game like rabbit alone can actually weaken you. It's called rabbit starvation. An overload of protein with too little fat. Without berries, nuts, or fatty cuts of meat, You might paradoxically starve while your stomach is full. Dinner balance suddenly matters a lot more than you'd think, even when balance means alternating between rabbit and stolen honey. Your protein sources don't always scamper around on four legs. Insects pop up along your trail, crickets chirping, beetles scuttling, grubs burrowing under bark. You pinch one grub and squint. Squishy, pale, wriggling, not exactly five-star dining. But roasted over flame, it delivers a tiny nugget of savory fat and crunch. Anthropologists point out that bug eating was common and remains common worldwide. Protein is protein, and nature doesn't issue restaurant menus. You chew hesitantly, grimacing, but eventually shrug. Not the worst thing you've tasted. And here, another quirky tidbit emerges: fungus. Some groups may have nibbled mushrooms, and while some supply calories, others well. Others send unfortunate clan members into eternal sleep, or possibly hallucinogenic chatter with imaginary spirits. The jury, meaning your cautious tribe, is still very much out on mushrooms. Fish, too, broaden your options. With sharpened stakes, clan members prod into shallows. A slippery trout darts, sunlight flashing across its scales, and one skillful jab skewers it. Victory: fish adds not just protein, but essential fats your brain loves. Historians wonder if coastal humans who ate high seafood diets accelerated their cognitive growth thanks to all that omega-3 intake. You may not know any of this, but roasting a fish tonight makes your lips smack and your belly grunt in satisfaction. Every so often, the clan lucks out with scavenged treasures from predators, maybe leftovers from wolves, or a carcass of a larger animal that died of natural causes. Strips of meat, even gnawed ones, are stripped further with stone scrapers. Marrow is sucked greedily from broken bones, the fatty paste inside like prehistoric butter, highly prized. You smash one open, splinters spraying, and slurp the rich marrow until juices streak your chin. Delicious, messy, vital. Of course, meals blur into medicine. Certain herbs you chew are soothing, not just filling. Willow bark, for instance, induces relief in aching joints. Its compounds are precursors of aspirin. Did your ancestors know chemical formulas? Of course not, but they noticed chew this, pain eases. Simple cause and effect stored in shared memory. Food isn't just calories, it's relief, ritual, even early healthcare. Night descends and your clan circles the hearth. Meat crackles, roots roast in glowing embers, honey, comms bubble near flames, fish skins curl. The cave fills with smells that brighten even the most tired faces. No fancy table settings here. Food is shared by hand, torn apart, handed across with clumsy warmth. There's joking, laughter, licking sticky fingers. Occasionally someone drops their share into the fire, followed by everyone laughing, because caveman cooking shows didn't edit blunders out. Around you, meals become stories. An elder points with greasy hands at the shadows thrown by the fire, mimicking mammoth tusks, retelling the dangers of the hunt. Children gnaw small sticks of tuber, eyes huge in firelight. You find yourself oddly grateful in the moment. This is not fine dining, yet within smoke and grease and crumbs lies deep treasure. Food is genesis of fellowship. It's no coincidence that tens of thousands of years later, humans would still gather around tables and fires with the same instinct. So as you curl into hides, lip sticky from honey and belly stretched in satisfaction, your last thought is simple: life tastes rough, sometimes bitter, sometimes absurd, but every meal is a reminder that you are still here, surviving another day, finding not just sustenance but joy in the bite. The fire dies down after the meal, bellies warm, eyelids drooping. But instead of collapsing into dreams straight away, you glance at the cave wall nearest the hearth. On its grey face, faint shapes dance in correspondence with the flames, markings applied long before your hand. A besom charging, antlers locked in combat, thin red lines scrawled that might be hunters with raised spears. Cave art. Tonight you realize survival isn't solely about meat and marrow, it's also about meaning. Food fills the stomach, yes, but art nourishes the soul. And somehow, against the odds, you're about to participate in humanity's very first art class. Someone from your clan crouches with a careful stack of rocks holding a lump of ochre. They grind it into dust, mixing it with spit and animal fat until it becomes a sticky pigment. Another holds charcoal saved from half-burned wood. You lean in, amused. That smear of dark pigment between your fingers feels oddly powerful. It's like holding the sky's twilight in your palm. You dab at the wall tentatively, making marks that join countless others layered across rough stone. Suddenly, this cold cave becomes canvas. Historical fact evidence of cave art reaches back at least 40,000 years, crafted by both Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. The oldest known Neanderthal hand stencil was found in Spain, implying that creativity wasn't limited to our own species. You imagine an ancient relative pressing their hand against rock, spitting pigment over it, leaving behind a negative silhouette. It's the earliest kind of autograph. No Instagram handle, just a ghostly hand saying, "I was here. Remember me." And here's a delightful quirky tidbit in some caves. Researchers discovered lines and dots not easily interpreted as animals or humans. Some anthropologists propose they might represent early attempts at notations, even calendar-like, reminders of animal mating seasons. Imagine that! Your clan might already be experimenting with proto-spreadsheets written in charcoal, planning busy mammoth hunting weeks. Historians still argue whether these marks were symbolic systems or just idle doodles from someone bored while waiting for meat to roast. Either way, you just added your tiny scratch to the world's oldest art gallery. The atmosphere around painting sessions is unlike hunts or feasts. There's quiet reverence, as if everyone senses this is something different. The flickering firelight almost makes the painted bison and deer gallop in motion, dancing across stone. Children giggle softly. Adults trace animal forms with fingers, rehearsing movements. Art is not just pretty pictures, it doubles as teaching. Generations learn how a creature looks, how it moves. A painted mammoth with tusks curved high isn't just decoration. It tells youths what to expect when one looms across the plain. In a way, cave walls are classrooms. You hold a torch higher, smoke curling upwards, illuminating colors. There's ochre red, coal black, chalky white, even subtle yellows scraped from rare minerals. How did your people know where to dig for pigments? Likely through the same persistence as hunting, searching, experimenting, storing raw materials like hidden treasures. Yet art wasn't purely practical. You sense a tingle in your chest, the way your clan huddles together in shared awe. Maybe these paintings are prayers. Maybe they are attempts to summon animal spirits or persuade fate. Picture it when you're starving. A painted reindeer offers not food exactly, but hope. One hunter raises hands, smacking them rhythmically against stone, while another hums deep, throaty notes. It's more chant than song, primal music to accompany painted forms. Goosebumps chase across your arms. The cave transforms into a cathedral, shadows climbing walls, voices echoing deeper than bone. Were these rituals, performances, pure entertainment? Historians still argue whether cave ceremonies carried religious undertones or were basically Stone Age Netflix. What is undeniable is this gathering around pigment, shadow, and voice knits your group tighter. You are not just struggling individuals. You are a people with stories. Some of the more experimental clan members get creative. They crush sparkly bits of rock, sprinkling them onto wet pigment. As the fire flickers, the animals almost glitter. You chuckle, realizing glitter art predates craft class by tens of thousands of years. Somewhere a Neanderthal child was patted on the back for inventing the very first art project with questionable parental cleanup. It also strikes you that art allows rare expressions of self. Out there, on the flat plane, your identity is dictated by whether you run faster than predators or swing a spear straighter. In here, with heat on your face and red ochre coating your palm, identity reshapes into the person who leaves marks behind. You may not hunt the largest mammoth, but you can paint the most captivating one. Status shifts from brawn to creativity. In such moments, the clan learns to listen not just to strength, but imagination. As the painting continues, a strange calm overtakes you. The world outside was filled with saber teeth and storms. Here, within boundaries of stone, you step out of fear into creation. Tomorrow may be chaos again. Tonight, existence carries color and rhythm. A child squeals happily as small fingers smear parallel lines. Laughter bubbles. The solemn breathing of chanting hunters fades into grins. No one goes hungry from painting, yet hunger dulls when the spirit is lit. The flame sputters, casting one last shimmer across the painted herd. You wipe ochre dust on your thigh. Soon your hide clothing bears as much paint as the wall, bright blotches marking you like a walking artwork. This unplanned fashion statement makes the children giggle, pointing and mimicking an antler above your head. You laugh too. It's worth it to see joy sparkle even when the world tries constantly to crush it. Lying back, your eyes adjust to shapes swirling overhead. Now the animals seem alive, galloping in sketched outline above sleepers, as though protecting dreams. And you realize while fire warms skin, art warms memory. It is the promise that you're more than hunger, more than danger. You are a being who leaves stories etched in stone, reaching across thousands of years to remind others you walked, hunted, dreamed here. So as sleep finally tugs at your body, you nestle into hides, facing the painted wall instead of dark emptiness. The animals gaze back in perpetual stride, silent guardians of tomorrow. Yes, life may be scraped raw, every day uncertain, but tonight your cave is no longer just shelter. It is a gallery, a temple, a stage, and a diary all at once. And with that awareness nudging your heart, you drift off feeling almost eternal. The fire's embers still glow faintly against last night's painted walls, artwork frozen in ritual strut and gallop. You blink awake, stiff but oddly content. You've not only survived another day, you've taken part in creativity that stirs something in your chest. Yet as you stretch beneath the chilled cave air, you're reminded of the larger truth: life out here isn't solo. You do not roam alone through grasslands, gnawing bones by yourself like some hermit wolf. Your survival hinges on the tangle of people around you, your tribe, your little prehistoric family. You glance across the dark cave, taking in familiar faces. There's the old woman who mutters warnings about poisonous roots, the broad-backed man carrying yesterday's rabbit haul, the fidgety youngster still smudged in charcoal. This is your second, quieter fire, the human bond that smolders, sometimes cracks, sometimes flares. Tribes are the real lifeline in the Paleolithic world. Alone, you'd last about as long as a rabbit in a lion's den. A clan isn't very large, maybe 20, 30 souls on average. Enough to have useful hands, not so many that feeding everyone becomes impossible. Within this group, everyone bears tasks according to strength, experience, or even preference. It's history's first version of a division of labor. Hunters and gatherers, yes, but also tool nappers, fire tenders, storytellers, babysitters. You can tell certain people just excel at one thing. She sharpens flint with uncanny precision. He's ridiculous with directions, knows exactly which patch to find berries. And the children, mostly loud chaos generators, but occasionally one of them does something wild like noticing fresh tracks adults overlooked. One quirky tidbit anthropologists point out: children may have functioned as scouts, often roaming widely to play and unintentionally gathering vital information about the environment. Basically, prehistoric kids yelling, "I saw deer tracks over there!" were delivering crucial GPS updates. But close living means friction too. Tempers flare, arguments spark, usually over resources or recognition. Who gets a larger piece of marrow? Why did someone slack off during the last chase? Forget celebrity gossip if you want drama. Try living shoulder to shoulder with 20 people in one drafty cave. Historians still argue whether clans had designated leaders or if authority shifted situationally. Some evidence suggests bands leaned egalitarian, no kings in crowns, just whoever proved capable guiding decisions at the moment. When hunting mammoths, follow the skilled tracker. When raiding bees, maybe listen to the one least terrified of buzzing things. Authority was fluid, like the river current. Despite inevitable squabbles, cooperation is the heartbeat. Someone tends to an elder's limp, someone else stokes fire for infants nestled in hides. There's even space for joking a hunter returns empty-handed, and the clan mimics, tiny invisible animal, gestures roaring with laughter. Humor, it turns out, is one of your sharpest survival tools. Not every laugh is at the expense of others, though. Some nights end in gentle teasing stories, like today's tale of you stumbling during a rabbit chase. Cue chuckles, followed by someone mimicking your panicked face by firelight. Entertainment may be scarce, but making fun of each other, that's timeless. Food binds you socially as much as nutritionally. When meals are shared, bonds cement. Refusing to divide portions would create distrust and fracture the unit. Generosity means the group thrives. If you score big during a rare bison hunt, everyone eats, not just you. This reciprocation builds credit. Tomorrow, when someone else drags back meat, you'll get your share. Hidden beneath the grease of mammoth fat is the earliest invisible currency, trust. Still, nothing guarantees harmony. Rivalries simmer. Two hunters bicker over who landed the final throw. An older woman growls at youth for wasting firewood. Tiny grudges may last sunsets before fading. But when threats loom, storm, predator, rival clan, the drama evaporates. A spear raised in defense silences petty turf wars. Against saber teeth, unity is non-negotiable. Even love, in its earliest messy form, plays a role here. Courtship isn't roses and romantic playlists. It's more like two people skidding beside each other while hauling firewood, then gradually sharing tasks. Sometimes gifts of carefully made tools or precious ochre serve as love tokens. Imagine winning someone's heart with a perfectly flaked hand axe. Look how symmetrical it is, just like my feelings for you. You chuckle, realizing romance, too, is built on practicality. Children born into this clan are not individuals' responsibility alone, they're everyone's. If one mother is tired, another provides help, feeding or soothing. This cooperative breeding style is visible even in modern hunter-gatherers, and may have been crucial for species survival. Raising little ones is exhausting in today's world with baby strollers and bottles. In the Paleolithic, keeping a child alive took whole villages. Elders share wisdom, teens chase and entertain, adults provide food. Parenthood is a group project with mandatory participation. Religion, or at least spirituality, seems to tint life here as well. A hunter whispers a charm before leaving, or carries a lucky carved bone. Images painted yesterday glow faintly tonight. No official church exists, but an undercurrent of shared belief knits threads tighter. You feel reaffirmed. Those who walk beside you don't only share risks and meals, they share mysteries about the stars, dreams, and animals. That shared wonder is glue thicker than honey dripping down firelit fingers. Of course, not every day is ceremony and tenderness. Some days your tribe roams, packing up hides and tools, migrating when resources run thin. Those journeys test patience with constant mud, rain, and bickering over direction. Yet even then, you're comforted moving with a tribe is safer than moving alone. Groups shield each other, doubling vigilance at night. A snore from the man beside you is pleasant, because it signals you're not the only one trying to keep breathing another day. As you sit tonight before fading sparks, you glance around the circle and realize without them, you'd be little more than a lonely smudge beneath the stars. But with them, with arguments, sharing, laughter, petty fights, and group dances around painted walls, you are much more. You are community. You are tribe. And when you close your eyes, pouring closer toward warmth, you know you are held up not only by fire, flint, or roots, but by those 20-odd stubborn souls snoring around you. This is the thread weaving your past survival, not as an individual exploit, but as collective trust. The night is quiet except for snores echoing like cave bear growls in stereo. When the dawn light pushes through again, you rise not to chase prey or daub pigment. It's to tend to wounds, exhaustion, those little breakdowns of flesh and bone that come with daily life. Because here's the brutal reality: every tumble, scrape, paw slash, or rotten root you accidentally chew could end you without attention. There are no doctor's appointments, neatly booked 3 weeks ahead, no shelves of antiseptic to douse cuts. And yet you are not helpless. You and your people are developing the earliest art of something astonishing: medicine. One of your tribe groans, clutching their ankle. Yesterday's rocky sprint while hunting rabbits ended badly, a sharp twist, now purple swelling. The tribe gathers, murmurs low. Someone dips strips of animal hide in cool river water, wrapping them firmly. Another scavenges a willow twig and instructs the patient to chew it. Bark bitter on the tongue, but soon the pain dulls. Centuries later, science would discover willow bark holds salicin, the natural base for aspirin, but right now it just feels like magic. Every family has its healer, not with diplomas, but with memory. She recalls which herb soothed bellyache, which bark settled fever, which leaf burned the tongue last time someone chewed it. Sometimes it's spot on wisdom. Sometimes it's trial and error with unfortunate side effects. If early healing sounds crude, keep in mind, not much has changed. Modern people still rely on the one friend who swears ginger tea fixes everything. Historical fact: archaeologists examining prehistoric skeletons found evidence of crude dental work, holes drilled into teeth, possibly to relieve pain, dating back thousands of years. Now imagine lying still as someone with a sharp flint drills your molar. That buzzing sound at the dentist suddenly feels like a lullaby compared to random cousin with sharp rock and good intentions. Meanwhile, wounds from hunts are managed with equally rough creativity: a gash in the leg, pressed tight with moss, grass, or spider webs that help clotting; burns, soothed with ash or certain herb poultices. One quirky tidbit in some cultures: animal fat mixed with powdered plants was smeared onto wounds as both dressing and ritual ward. Picture ointment that smells like greasy stew. It may or may not heal the cut, but at least you're slippery enough no predator can get a grip. Broken bones. Brutal, but not certain death. Surprisingly, evidence exists of prehistoric skeletons with healed fractures, suggesting tribes cared for their own, even immobilized limbs with splints crafted from sticks and hide. You, groaning with a snapped arm, would have sat in the cave, fed morsels, until bones wrecked it. You'd never throw a spear again the same, but you'd survive, and survival is enough. Care wasn't wasted effort. Clan loyalty extended beyond useful bodies. It acknowledged you as more than output, an early glimpse of compassion. Still, disease is your lurking shadow. Coughs rattle through rib cages, fevers claim small children, parasites chew away unseen. Each sneeze sends concern rising. The germs concept hasn't cleared anyone's mind yet, so instead, sickness gets woven in spiritual narrative. Illness might be explained as an animal spirit angry at you, or wicked air seeping in during night. Treatments sometimes involve chanting, rhythmic drumming, or smoke swirling above sufferers. Historians still argue whether shamans of the Paleolithic were medicine men with practical wisdom, or ritual specialists pulling placebo miracles. Likely, they were both. Imagine someone waving herbs over your head chanting, while also slipping you willow bark tea, half chemistry, half performance. Your people even dabble in surgery, though crude. Skulls uncovered show circular holes cut or scraped into bone, a practice called trepanation. Why? Maybe to relieve pressure from head wounds. Maybe to let out spirits. Shockingly, some skulls show signs of healing afterwards, meaning patients survived. Imagine being conscious while clan members patiently scrape your skull open with flint. No anesthesia besides maybe fermented berry drink to knock you silly. And yet some lived, forged tougher than legends. Babies, tiny new arrivals, present another challenge. Without blankets from stores or midwives with sterile gloves, survival odds are stacked. Yet women of the tribe improvise, cutting cords with sharp tools, swaddling infants in hides near fire. Sweet liquids like chewed roots might soothe crying mouths. Everyone takes turns rocking the little bundle, even when exhaustion threatens to drop heads sideways. Medicine here isn't just about broken bones. It's about nurturing fragile new life into rough existence. Sometimes your medicine is simply learning when not to eat something. The wrong mushroom leaves the strongest man gasping within hours. A bad fish, left rotting, sees the bravest hunter doubled over. Slowly your tribe builds an oral encyclopedia, passed across yawns by firelight. This nut safe, that plant deadly. Chew this when tooth aches. Chew that and kiss tomorrow goodbye. Knowledge is hard-earned, bought with real lives. Yet each remembered rule lengthens your species' story. Perhaps the strangest healing of all is comfort. A friend rubbing your forehead during fever. A hand grasping yours tightly during childbirth. A song hummed as bone is reset by gruesome strength. No scientific benefit. Science be quiet. Comfort ticks part of ancient survival. Loneliness shreds willpower faster than hunger. Your tribe knows this unconsciously. A cared-for member fights harder to keep breathing. When night finally falls, your clan encircles the fire again. The wounded man with the wrapped ankle chuckles weakly at jokes. The child coughs, but is fed steamed roots mashed to mush. Someone hums a quiet tune, not entertainment exactly, but soothing repetition. You realize healing isn't a moment. It's the rhythm of life here, tending the body with bark and bone, binding wounds with moss, easing souls with chants. As you close your eyes, you feel both awe and respect. Survival doesn't grow solely from muscle or spear throw. It grows from patience herbs, hands wrapping hides gently, songs filling the empty dark. The art of medicine, even in its rawest form, reminds you you're fragile but astonishingly resourceful. And tomorrow, when new injuries or ailments appear, they always do, your tribe will improvise yet again. Band-aids of moss, aspirin within bark, anesthesia of trust. Rough, messy, vital. Rest comes at last beside the shared ember glow, the subtle knowledge burrowed inside you. This, too, makes you human. The night snuggles thick around the cave, the painted animals from earlier glimmering faintly in the fire's orange breath. But tonight isn't just about tired bodies. It's about marking the deeper rhythms of life, beginnings and endings, cries and silences. Birth, death, and what hovers mysteriously between them shape your clan, almost as much as spears and roots. Around these moments, you gather again in ceremony, ritual, and whispers, grappling with forces you cannot conquer. Survival is daily business, but meaning that's something else entirely. A sudden cry splits the night. Not predator this time, but the raw squall of new life. One of the women groans in strain as the rest of the clan gathers tight. Birth here isn't tucked in crisp white hospital sheets, but carried out under flickering shadows. The mother gripping hides and hands. Helpers surround her, some rubbing her back, some preparing water, others muttering charms learned from elder tongues. The midwives of this world aren't certified, but their experience is vast. They've coaxed dozens of infants into the world using knowledge carved from trial and error. The smell of smoke and sweat, the rough stone beneath knees, the hush when the child finally slides into the healer's waiting palms. It's overwhelming. The little one squeaks, wriggling, painted instantly with blood and soot. The cord is cut with sharpened flint, the infant wrapped in fur, pressed to the mother's chest. The whole cave releases a collective sigh, laughing gently at the furious wails. Even the most hardened hunter softens, poking a finger at tiny fists. Fragile, helpless, yet unbelievably loud. That's your brand new tribe member. And here's a fascinating historical fact. Tiny footprints have been found preserved in caves alongside paintings, suggesting little ones did roam these dark galleries. Scholars believe caves doubled as early family spaces, meaning babies weren't hidden away. They were part of the art, the ritual, the very pulse of community. You imagine this little infant's first toddling steps someday might add smudges alongside your animal outlines. The quirky tidbit. In some cases, archaeologists speculate charms were tied around newborns, bones, shells, beads, trinkets from family excavations. Were these fertility talismans, first baby jewelry, or just distracted parents handing toddlers something shiny to chew on before they drooled on hides? Historians still argue whether such artifacts held mystical significance or were pragmatic solutions to baby boredom. Either way, life's first chapter in your tribe is wrapped in love, urgency, danger, and a sprinkle of curiosity. But where there is birth, there is also death. A few weeks pass, and an elder who long hobbled with weak joints exhales their last breath. The body lies pale against hides, and the fire hushes low, your clan gathering, faces drawn, and here you notice something remarkable. Death, though common, is not met with shrugging indifference. There is ceremony. Grave sites from tens of thousands of years ago reveal bodies gently buried with tools, ornaments, and pigments. Tonight you see such tenderness unfold. The elder is lifted with care, carried to a hollow dug in soil nearby. Ochre is sprinkled over their skin, staining them red like flame. Their favorite scraper is tucked at their side, a necklace of teeth draped across the chest. You pause in a world of starvation and scarcity. Devoting goods to the dead is an extraordinary gesture. It declares humans aren't just animals, they honor memory itself. You wonder what exactly your people believe about this ritual. Do they think the elder journeys into another world where tools and beads are needed? Or do they simply express closeness through gifts, like writing letters you can't actually send? Historians still argue whether such burials signal spiritual belief in an afterlife or simply a cultural respect for the body. Perhaps both. All you know is silence here feels thick, reverent, as chants lift in rhythm, a low hum, hands beating softly against stone. You watch flickers of flame play across faces streaked with pigment. Even children hush, holding pebbles or flowers dropped gently on the shallow grave. For a people who wake every day chased by threats, carving out time to grieve seems extraordinary. But maybe grief is the very thing that keeps your clan human instead of beast. The burial complete. Your people sit around firelight retelling the elders' stories, replaying their jokes, gestures, warnings. The cave walls echo with memory, and in this moment, you realize rituals aren't about denying death. They're about folding it into the fabric of clan life. No one is erased. Each person is painted into shared memory, like ghosts scrawled alongside bison. Sometimes, rituals bleed together. Births accompanied with gifts of beads, deaths with ochre blessing. Fire sits at the center each time, glowing constant amid arrivals and departures. The community draws close, clutching hands or brushing shoulders, because death and birth remind you are fragile pieces of a fragile species clinging to warmth. The strangest ceremony yet comes when dreams enter the story. One night, a youth wakes claiming they saw the dead elder dancing with mammoths in a dream. Instantly, murmurs ripple. Was that a message from spirits? Or just leftover berries fermenting in the gut? Historians still argue whether dreams formed kernels of ancient religion. But sitting there, you believe it. How powerful must it feel when slumber gifts you an image of those no longer here? Perhaps the earliest churches were just nocturnal minds, projecting mysteries onto eyelids. As you drift again into your own restless dreams, images from the rituals dance behind your lids, a newborn squealing, an elder painted crimson, hands raised to sky shadows. In this world where accidents and predators end lives too easily, these ceremonies are invisible shields. They don't stop death or ease pain completely, but they give shape to chaos. And shape is everything. The difference between screaming into void and whispering into story. Tonight you learn survival isn't only about eating, fleeing, or chasing. It is about marking transitions, welcoming arrivals, grieving departures, freeing meaning from fear. The clan becomes something more than a handful of desperate hunters. It becomes history, myth, remembrance, celebration, all looped into the rituals of life and death. And with the fire dimming, shadows curling like unseen ancestors around the walls, you pull your hides tighter, oddly soothed. Maybe tomorrow holds lions and storms again, maybe another cry or silence. But for now, you are comforted by the knowledge that every moment fits into the wider ritual. Whether born or gone, no member truly vanishes. They echo in paint, pigment, stories, whispers. The air grows colder, a prickling reminder that the sky and land themselves decide your fate as much as claws or hunger. While your clan knows how to stalk rabbits and roast roots, you're never in full command. The heavens shift, the winds change, beasts migrate, or vanish. Tonight you learn how much your entire life depends on skies and seasons. Morning sun feels bright but deceiving. Clouds gather, thick and grey, rolling slowly over the steppe, and a shiver zips across your shoulders. This day will turn hard within hours. Mud will patch the ground where you normally pick berries. You sense the rhythm. Survival is a careful dance with weather. Your hides never really match the insulation of furred beasts. Winters here bite deep. Snow sheet, ice glitters, cold winds tunnel into your lungs. The smaller game hides, food dwindles, and you don't have freezers to stockpile neat weekly groceries. So in harsh seasons, you rely on stores of dried meat and roots, perhaps hidden away in pits. Problem: digging storage pits in frozen soil is like punching a rock with your hands. Then again, some groups migrate with seasons, following herds. Your clan too rises, bundles belongings, and trudges across frost-bitten plains. Fire bundles carried like sacred seeds. Precious tools tied with leather straps, the oldest and youngest riding atop hides dragged on poles. The trek is tiring, feet blister, bellies complain. But eventually, you find migrating megafauna tracks and pitch camp. You are both wanderers and settlers of the moment, eternally at the mercy of shifting seasons. Here's the solid historical fact. We know Ice Age humans endured glacial waves where winter was not just one season but entire centuries. They adapted with layered hides, fire mastery, and clever shelters carved from bone and snow. Mammoth bones, for instance, often lashed into frames, covered with hides, building dome-like refuges. Imagine tucking yourself into such a structure while snow swirls, hearing winds howl, safe under mammoth ribs. If modern homes are framed by steel beams, you're sitting in a prehistoric igloo held together by bones. Of course, quirky adaptations become part of the fun. In hotter seasons, it's not all bliss. Bugs come snarling at every patch of bare skin. Smoke becomes not just signal but bug repellent. Some archaeologists suggest clays may have been smeared on skin, not just for ritual, but as bug control. Imagine slathering yourself in mud like a spa day, except instead of cucumber water, you're yelling at horseflies the size of your thumb. And here, a funny callback: crocodile dung again floats into memory. Later cultures may have mashed it with other things as skin remedies or sun protection. Unsure if it kept insects away, but slather yourself enough and maybe predators will keep their noses pinched too. Beauty industry, Stone Age edition. Now the seasons change not only with sunshine and snow, but with the stars wheeling overhead. You look upward on crisp nights, blinking against a riot of glitter. Without electric lights drowning skies, the universe feels almost crushingly close. Stars cut sharp, constellations sprawling, and one can't help but wonder if your people already traced meaning up there. Did they connect dots into stories? Did they track movement of Venus, that bright planet rising before dawn? Historians still argue whether Paleolithic humans charted constellations for navigation or ritual storytelling, but evidence suggests curiosity about the sky's pulse as old as survival itself. You notice how nighttime deliveries, consistently bright stars, waxing and waning moon, become practical guides. Need to know when herds will migrate. Watch the stars' position. need to predict seasons. See how shadows shift at dawn. Even with zero calendars, you're basically living inside a giant survival clock in the sky. No wonder myths may have sprouted here. The heavens guide your every planting footstep, every leap across seasons. There's another important cycle: water. Droughts can shrivel rivers to crack beds, forcing migrations far longer than usual. Sometimes storms return, rivers flood, washing away hides, tools, and food caches. Too much water, too little water. Life is always overcorrecting. You curse and adapt, eating different routes, shifting diet, moving camp yet again. You learn flexibility is survival's real secret, the ability to reshape plan every time sky laughs at your certainty. For warmth, your clan builds together. Open fires enlarged with reflective stones, smoky interiors heated as best possible. Your fur clothing stinks but keeps itches of frostbite away. Teeth chatter still. Sometimes, despite everything, one elder slips into deep sleep they never crawl back out of, cold claiming them softly while they dream. Death doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers through icy breath. In spring, hope swells again. Melting snow reveals growth, rivers swell with fish, animals reappear with young. There's food, laughter, relief. The moods of your tribe swell or shrink with weather swings, evidence of how deeply you're tethered. No one is immune. Even the strongest grow weak when storms last too long. And yet, amid all this hardship, the sky is also astonishing beauty. Nights when auroras spill green and crimson across blackness, your clan gasps. Colors ripple as though ancestors are dancing overhead. Children shriek delighted. Adults sway in awe. Interpretations bloom. Maybe messages from spirits, maybe God's cracking flames above. Whatever explanation, the moment binds your people tighter in wonder. Hunger, frost wounds, all pause under those shimmering curtains. Stars, storms, rivers, and fireflies etched into your memory become more than weather. They are teachers. Every cycle forces adaptation, creativity, reverence. One day it's woolly mammoths chewing frost grass in reach. The next it's empty plains and chilling silence. That constant humility before forces larger than yourself trains the human heart toward awe. You curl tonight under furs, lightning far away flickering. The cave painting glows behind your eyelids, matched by faint constellations still imprinted in your mind. And you realize something: your clan doesn't conquer nature. It partners with it, wrestles, pleads, adapts. Living season to season is exhausting, yes, but it is also exhilarating. Every dawn is fresh gamble, every horizon mysterious. And the stars, those endless, glittering beacons, they whisper, promising that tomorrow isn't just another struggle. It's another story. The auroras fade in your memory as you awaken to yet another morning on the steppe. The stories your clan has painted, sung, and whispered all stacked together now, and tonight you can sense change. Not just the predictable swing of seasons, but a larger, stranger kind of change. A faint pull towards something new, something that flickers on the horizon of human history like sunrise through fog. The Stone Age, the hunts, the art, the rituals, is tipping toward a dawn that no one in your tribe quite understands yet. At first, it feels subtle. Look at the tools. The sharp hand axes and flint scrapers you've used for so long are starting to transform. Thinner blades, refined edges, more careful craftsmanship. No longer just, crack this rock, hope it's sharp. Now you see deliberate preparation. Carefully chosen stone, flaking one side at steep angles, shaping points for spear throwers. Archaeological fact: by the Upper Paleolithic, tools like the atlatl spear thrower allowed hunters to fling projectiles with deadly accuracy far beyond arm's reach. Suddenly, prey that once mocked your spear throws has a reason to panic. And the quirky tidbit: some groups even fashioned little Venus figurines, tiny carved women with exaggerated shapes. Were they fertility charms, early prehistoric art therapy, or side projects of bored stone carvers flexing their talent? Historians still argue whether these figurines were sacred symbols, portable goddesses, or just pocket-sized Paleolithic souvenirs. Whatever the purpose, these carvings signal something radical. Your people are now making things not just to use, but to represent ideas. The shift spreads further. You notice it in the size of gatherings. Once, your clan hovered at 20 or 30, but occasionally you encounter larger bands, alliances between groups to share resources, exchange partners, maybe coordinate massive hunts. Bigger gatherings mean more genetic mixing important, so everyone isn't stuck awkwardly related, but it also creates challenges. Who speaks first? How are disputes settled? Suddenly leadership and cooperation grow complicated. By firelight, you see hints of hierarchy sprouting, no kings yet, but certain individuals bridging arguments, directing hunts, calming quarrels. That shimmer of structure is the faint seed of governance, still centuries from sprouting into sedentary civilization. Another change: food experimentation. While your clan still roams, some members notice seeds dropped around campsites sprouting when you return months later. Coincidence? Curiosity? Maybe something more? You wonder, if plants can spring back simply by accident, what if you nudged them deliberately? The beginnings of agriculture hum lightly beneath every root dug and berry picked. Historians still argue if farming began from purposeful cultivation or accidental observation, but either way, the whisper of settled life stirs. Imagine it: instead of chasing food, making food come to you. Revolutionary, like inventing pizza delivery, only slower and infinitely muddier. The skies too provoke deeper thought. Watching constellations grow familiar, you wonder if they predict not only migrations, but destiny. Already you dream not just in images of beasts, but of ancestors, patterns, explanations beyond reach. Spiritual thought thickens. What began as chants and ochre burials starts standing taller, shimmering like the auroras overhead. You sense your people beginning to ask bigger questions. Why are we here? What lies beyond the last hunt? Out of survival drips philosophy. And then, the construction, not just bone shelters, but early experimentation with permanent sites. Evidence shows humans stacking stones, aligning spaces, returning again and again, gathering spots. Proto-villages. They are not farms yet, not cities yet, but they are heavier, refusing to vanish with migration. Roots are growing beneath wandering feet. That weight you feel is history rooting humanity into place. Of course, with roots come challenges. Larger groups mean diseases leap between more bodies. Crops, as they slowly emerge, trap you to the soil. Flexibility becomes limited. Ironically, the very progress that lures you forward strips some resilience you had as wanderer. Historians debate this transition's cost. Did humans lose health, variety, and mobility in exchange for abundance? Probably yes. Probably no. Probably both. All you know is something immense is stirring, and you're standing on the fragile edge. You still chase mammoths. You still scrape marrow. You still swaddle infants in hides and tell bedtime stories around flickering logs. But in the corner of your mind, you suspect your children won't live entirely like you. Already you've painted walls, carved figurines, experimented with seeds. Already tools are smarter, rituals deeper, groups larger. You may not call it civilization. To you, it's just tomorrow. To history, it's the hinge where one age leans into the next. As stars bloom again overhead, you sense the closing of one chapter. The cave, the chase, the scarred tools. That world still holds you tight. But dawn is coming. A dawn of fields, fires in hearths, organized rituals, sharpened blades, bigger questions. You won't see how far it all goes, but you leave echoes behind, in paint, bones, tools, stories, that ripple into the ages. You wonder whether voices thousands of years from now will still tell your story. And here's a secret: they do. Because you are them. Every laugh around the fire, every scrape of flint, every stubborn walk through ice winds. Those moments survive right into the modern bodies and voices that look back at you now. Civilization only blossoms because your tribe carried sparks through endless peril, painted walls no storm could wash away, and whispered kindness when it mattered most. And so you sleep tonight grinning faintly. You may be Stone Age, wrapped in hides, belly full of roasted roots, but you're also the prologue of skyscrapers, rockets, and the very screen glowing in some distant descendant's room. Tomorrow you'll hunt, gather, paint again. And centuries later, humanity will remember it all began with you. Now, as the story crests and settles, let your breath slow. The fire in the heart of that ancient cave flickers, softer, quieter, coals dimming to sleepy red. The voices around you, your tribe, soften too. No more arguments, no more chants. Just the hush of night pressing gentle against stone. With every exhale, you feel the weight of the day's journeys drift away, the worries of predators and storms lifting, vanishing into the dark. Imagine the pelts under you, their rough comfort molded to your shape. Their scent is earthy, grounding, and the stone wall behind you somehow feels steady, protective. The painted animals shimmer faintly in your closing eyes, herd upon herd fading into stillness. Your heart slows, lulled by the rhythm of what has always been firelight, breath rising in steady clouds, the closeness of others breathing alongside you. Seasons may shift, ice may thaw, stars may wheel overhead, but in this still moment, everything feels eternal. The edges of time dissolve. You are both the ancient dreamer tucked into stone and the resting listener in today's calm room. Through countless ages, humans have ended their days with fire, warmth, companionship, and the hope of tomorrow. And tonight, that same hope hums gently inside your chest. So breathe deep, slow, ready for rest. Let the echoes of mammoths, hunts, chants, and painted walls drift into silence. Let the sky stretch endlessly above, its stars like scattered embers watching over you kindly. You are safe in the circle of your clan, safe in the roots of human history, safe in your blankets in this very moment. The cave grows dim, the fire quiet, and sleep, steady and sure, reaches out to carry you softly onward.